Very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Tuesday edition of the show. It promises to be exciting as always. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Well, it's the day after the big day. We're still smarting from the loss to the Lionesses of England at the FIFA Women's World Cup. Today on the show, we will do a post-mortem of what happened at the FIFA Women's World Cup. And of course, you know, it's a two-man show. I'm not alone. My colleague, Austin Okonakman, will be joining in. And of course, Cecilia Amorogbe is still right there in Brisbane. Of course, we will take that trip together. And so Austin is ready now as we take this trip together. Austin, greetings to you. Well, it's the day after the big day. I don't know if you have any hangover, but some people are still feeling the blues.
Sporty greetings to you, Yemi. A special shout out to everyone joining us on the show tonight. What a story. A beautiful story that the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup is telling us. Yemi, I have no hangover, but all I have is love and so much pride for the Super Falcons of Nigeria for putting up a gallant fight against the Lionesses of England. They came this close, so close, but football just chose England. So we will keep the lessons as we continue to monitor what's going on right there in Australia and New Zealand. But let me use this opportunity to start the show and tell the Super Falcons that we love them, we're proud of what they did, and they should keep their heads up and keep winning.
All right, I agree with you. All right, so let's go into the show. At some point, we'll bring in our colleague Cecilia Omorogbe because she's ready. So let me just quickly go on to introduce our partner in the Lagos studio. It might be a surprise to many, but of course, he joins us on the show after a very long time. I have the pleasure of introducing and bringing Toyi into the show. Toyi Ibitoye joins us now. I'm at loss how to introduce you, but anyway. Toyi Ibitoye joins us now. It's good to see you again, and it's good to talk sports together. It's been a long while.
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. You guys have been doing an amazing job. Austin throwing in the crosses, and then Cecilia, of course, from Australia. I'm happy to be here on a day that we are discussing the gallant performance of the Super Falcons. I didn't raise my hopes too high. Before the tournament, I expected that we were going to play 3 games and be back. But the girls surpassed my expectations and didn't lose anyone. Put up great shows in all of those games and dragged England to penalty shootout before eventually losing. And if you look at the England-China game and saw how England dismantled the Chinese, and then you see our girls, standing up to the English team, taking the game to them and playing that well, and you will probably see that there are a lot of positives that we can pick out from the performance of the Super Falcons from this World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of performances from the performance of the girls. And, of course, we'll be talking about all of that. Let me just quickly go back to Austin, probably get his perspective. I, for one, like I've confessed on this show, I, for one, was a bit skeptic before the tournament started. But immediately I saw the host, the way they played, I had hopes. And my hopes were raised so high that it got dashed yesterday, especially from the evidence of how the girls played in the first 90 minutes. The scenario, losing was a scenario that just didn't come to my mind until it was penalties. Then it dawned on me that we could lose this game because it's a lottery. Once it's penalty kicks, it's a lottery. And I can be honest to say I'm still having the blues somehow. but your thoughts on the game, we could go on and on, say so many things, but you have to be proud of the girls.
You have to, Yemi, because, right after the match, I stayed with local media right here in England, and they were all full of praise for Nigeria. In fact, the guys on TalkSport said it was daylight robbery, that England did to Nigeria. I totally agree with them, But then again, we had no business taking that game into penalties. But what has happened has happened. But I just hope that they will learn from it, so much lessons from it. It's time for us to look inwards now and see the changes that we can bring into women's football in Nigeria. the game is getting so big internationally now. It's getting recognized globally, and now there's so much money coming into it. We must find a way to commercialize women's football in Nigeria. The NFF need to find a way to get the private sector into it. You know, the girl child, they've been empowered, seeing the heroics of this, you know, young lady. Such a young team, but determined and, you know, ready to go against all odds. What just happened against England was quite unfortunate. You know, at some point I got soaked eyes. The moment Alozie missed a penalty, I had my hands on my head and I'm saying, oh God, it shouldn't happen this way for the girls. But, you know, football just has a way of telling, you know, very funny stories. I tweeted that it's an unfair sport, and you totally agree with me that nobody would have, you know, seen the 90 minutes of play down to extra time and tip the Falcons to go all the way. But, you know, it is what it is. It is England that will advance. Let's wish them all the best and then hope that football in Nigeria from this level we keep, you know, going higher.
Yeah, that's the hope. All right, it's time to dive into that segment brought to you by Stanbic IBTC, the official insurance partner of the Super Falcons. And of course, we still have Ibitoye with us in the studio. Our colleague Cecilia Morwe is ready to join in now. Very sure a lot of stories to tell around the Super Falcons. Good evening to you, Cecilia. Once again, we are here still talking about the Falcons. What a memorable experience they've given us Nigerians all the while playing in this tournament. But what can you tell us the day after the big day?
Yeah, good morning from Australia, Sydney here, Yemi. Good morning, Austin, and good morning to Ibitoye. It's great to see you on the show once again. Yeah, it's been a mixed reaction, really. I think from all walks of life, so to speak, literally, you know, it's been praised for the Super Falcons of Nigeria, their overall performance at this particular tournament. The fans I spoke with after the game, they were amazed because they said when they saw the draw at first, they were thinking this is not right for the Falcons, but they were shocked. That's why some of them traveled from Melbourne, Sydney to Brisbane to actually support them. But for the players, when they arrived at the hotel, I mean, we try as much as possible to cheer them up, no matter what we did. They were downcast, they were not happy, you know. The sadness was just there. I think the only person that smiled was actually Rasheedat Ajibade, because she said she knew that, yes, they did Nigerians proud. No matter what happened in the game against England, it was just not what they expected. They were already anticipating that they were going to Sydney. I myself actually booked my flight to Sydney on the eve of that game. That was the level of confidence that we had, thinking this was going to go all right. But then they were not happy. And even after the game that night, they bought, I mean, there were food everywhere. They couldn't even eat. The players couldn't eat. They went to bed like that. And the next morning, they all locked themselves in their room. I went to their hotel twice. In the morning, I couldn't see anyone because they didn't just want to come down. That grief was just so palpable. And then in the night, if I left the hotel around 1:30 a.m., at that time, they still not know. They couldn't just believe that they were out. I mean, that's how painful it was for the players. I mean, we felt for them. Zara covered her, used her hood to cover her face all through, you know, just trying as much as possible to be in our own moment. So we the media decided to respect them because they didn't want to talk. They just wanted to relive what happened in the game against England, soak everything in and see how they can go into the Olympic qualifiers and just take this as, you know, one of a kind of a push for them to succeed and then try and qualify for the Olympics. But that's just what they all wanted at that time. It was just something that when you see their faces and everything, you could feel for them on how hard they took the fate. It was really hard for them all through, really.
Yeah, I know it was hard. Before I go to Austin, a lot of people will be wondering, show us again the result. And that's what I'm going to do. We're going to look at the African teams. I'm going to ask Tony a question. Let's just quickly go to the screen now. And this is what you have on the screen. Just as we've been saying and what you saw on our notification bar, the journey has ended for all the African teams. And so France hitting Morocco 4 goals the Lionesses and Nigeria regulation time was goalless. At the end of the day, the ladies came on top 4-2 against Nigeria. Netherlands, in a very close game, the scoreline doesn't tell the story, were able to defeat South Africa, and of course, all the African teams are out. But this must be said, the African teams have given a good account of themselves, and women's football now has a lot of fans. A lot of people have been won over by what they've seen. And I can't remember the last time a national team brought us together, probably 1994, but at 94, 96 maybe, but women's football bring us this close, make a lot of people forget whatever issues that they had. These girls, I mean, thumbs up to them. Before I go to Austin, Tony, I want to ask you, this is difficult to do, but we have to. Could anything have been done differently, say, by the coach? Could anything have been done differently in that game? We have lost, yes. But could anything have been done? It looked like we had it in our hands, but it slipped.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they always say hindsight is always the best view. You can always look back and you will be looking at if. But the interesting thing is that in football, you don't have ifs. It's the result on the pitch, and that's it. So you can always discuss and talk about what would have done differently. Should we have been more adventurous and all of that? But, you know, from my experience with working closely with national teams at the highest level, when you are playing against 10 men, it can be very tricky. They have a way of regrouping. They have a way of forming a bond, strong solidarity to cover up for the player who is missing. And they defend together, they attack together, and they can surprise you. So when you are playing against a team with a man down, you don't lose your shape. You don't think that you have an advantage and then you go out recklessly and try to, you know, force a goal and all of that. So it's always very, very difficult. And when those 10 men particularly decide that they want to form a wall, then your job is cut out. But we, of course, know that when a game progresses into penalties, it becomes a lottery. The same thing happened at the AFCON. We lost 2 players. We were playing with 9 men, but Morocco couldn't break us down. Took us to penalties, and we eventually lost on penalties. This time around, it was the other way around. England with 10 men, dragging the game to penalties and eventually winning. But penalties really could go anywhere. But when you look at the African teams, I think the fact that this is the first time in the tournament that all African teams won at least 1 game. For Nigeria, it's even better. We didn't lose anyone. And we played some of the very, top teams in the world, in the top 4. Canada, Olympic champions, Australia, and England, and then the Republic of Ireland. These are top teams, better rated than Nigeria. So you look back at how well we organized ourselves and how well we pushed, and the way the gap between these top teams and Nigeria and the African teams has narrowed down. Then you probably, pick up these positives and hope you can build on them going forward.
All right. I'll yield back to Austin quickly, but an interesting question I want to ask. Before the game, you told us what the English media were saying about the girls. After the game, what are they saying? Because they know, or they should know, that they were lucky.
They know, yeah, me, and I've said it that they're saying it was daylight robbery. They're just unfortunate to make it to the quarterfinals. But I want to also agree with Toyin, and that's what some of the analysts here are saying. You know, when you lose a player, and that's when the technical discipline of the coaching crew comes into play. So for Sarina Wigman, she lost an important player in Lauren James, and she had to, read the Nigerian team. How can I plug the holes that we will not miss, Lauren's absence in the game? That's tactical discipline. It means she knows the Nigerian team. That's what Marge reading analysis, that's where it comes in. I think that's what Coach Randy Waldrum and his team didn't do. You need to know your opponent's team and say to yourself, when this isn't there, we do this. When this is there, we do that. I'm not Coach Randy Waldrum, but I won't take out Tony Payne and Alimatu Ainde. I'll also bring in a Gift Monday who has shown that she's more of a better finisher than some of the strikers that we even featured at the competition. I'll also take my time to soak pressure. I know that I was being careful because you don't want people to say, oh, a team that is one woman down even went on to beat your team. So you didn't take risk. You need to take risk. Play penetrating football. Force them to make mistakes. You know, these are some of the things that they were even saying here. Instead, we were just being careful. England wanted to take that game into penalties, and they did. Objective mission accomplished for them. They played 40 minutes with 10 women. 40 minutes. 40, I mean, it means if we had a team, a technical crew that was in depth, that knows that, look, we can do this, punish these people, force them to make errors, probably even get a penalty or two, or get a goal out of their errors, then we will be fine. But we didn't do just that. In fact, we played better when the English team was complete. Go see the highlights. We struggled to even create goal scoring chances when Lauren James was out of it. So I put everything on the table of the coach and his technical team. They didn't read that game properly, particularly when it got into the hands of Nigeria and they take the advantage. That's why it's time to listen to Coach Randy Waldrum. What does he have to say after the Super Falcons crashed out of the World Cup?
They've been fantastic the whole tournament. You know, I said to them after the game, we've not lost a game. Realistically, if you look at it, we've played 4 matches against 3 teams, you know, the Olympic gold medalists, and we played the European champions. We had a clean sheet in both of those games. You beat the host nation and you play Ireland that's in the top 20, and realistically, we didn't lose. So I'm so proud of them. There's such a bright future for this group. The players came together in an unbelievable way here at this tournament, building on what we had done in Turkey, and I'm just so proud of each and every one of them. South Africa was exceptional, you know, in their run as well, and you saw how they created a lot of problems for the Dutch team yesterday. And so I hope what we've done is shown the rest of the world that football in Africa is relevant. I think, and I hope people have seen that there is talent there, and we have the ability, and with a little structure and a little organization and some commitments to provide some resources that we need, I think hopefully people now can see that we can become a major player on the world stage.
So that's it, Coach Randy Waldrum. Let me go to Cecilia in Brisbane. Cecilia, you were there, you listened to Coach Randy Waldrum. Do you agree with everything he talked about?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you check, you know, the Super Falcons performance and everything, you will understand that they gave their all. I mean, that's why he was actually proud of them. And he didn't just stop there. He talked about the fact that the reason why, you know, certain players did not play. You know, he talked about the reason why Barnes had come in at that time. Talked about the reason why, you know, those changes that he made. Because he said that usually the first 3 games they played, they soak in the pressure and then they try to go on the counter. But this particular time, they just wanted to go all out. They didn't want to soak that pressure that they usually do. And that's why the English teams, according to him, didn't know how to, you know, attack the Super Falcons at first, because they had to match them man for man. And that's why if we check the possession all through the game, it was changing. I mean, at a point, Super Falcons even had a higher percentage of possession, and then it was changing all through. And he said he felt that, you know, when that card was given, he said he didn't really see the action because he was asked, you know, concerning the card. He didn't really see it. And when the replay was on, he was busy talking to his players. Then after that, he felt bringing in those players, you know, that came in will actually help, you know, to plug the loopholes and then try and get the goal. He wasn't expecting it to go into regulation time, but apparently it just didn't work for him. Then he also talked about, you know, the English teams, how they set up, the fact that they were able to look at Lauren James and, you know, put someone on her. She couldn't do anything. They stopped her, you know, from scoring and everything. And also went on to talk about he would love to stay on his job. You know, he has started building something, and this is what he wants to continue with the Super Falcons, and also going into the Olympics. You know, Olympics will start in September. We wouldn't want to truncate that, so we don't have a kind of a long period where we are not busy, where we don't play games. We can just continue with that, because the next Super Win is September also. So it was looking, he said a whole lot of things, concerning teams and also
Yeah.
his opponents and all the things he needed to do. But completely, I agree with him. And even the fans, when I did a report yesterday concerning the fans and all of them, they were super proud of the Super Falcons. I mean, fans traveling, as I mentioned, all across to watch them play. So it was a good performance, really, for the Falcons.
Fair enough.
It wasn't
Cecilia,
just
I'll pause you. This defeat wasn't an easy one. I can tell. Even your energy level has dropped, you know. But it's all good. We'll be fine. Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Let's go on this quick break. When we come back, Ibitoye is in Lagos. I'll ask Tony, should Nigeria Football Federation retain the services of Coach Randy Waldrum? Tony will tell us. Don't go anywhere. Stay.
This is the bus stop for the Super Falcons of Nigeria. Not the result they wanted, nor the fans. But when they arrived here, they got a rousing welcome from those who have been supporting them all this while.
People back home are jubilating. They're actually congratulating us. They saw what happened on the field. So it's and it will encourage the smaller girls, the younger girls, you know, because they're in, what can I say? They did it. They did it. You know, it just was not our day.
For the fans, they're super proud of what the players were able to do on the field of play.
I don't see it as a loss. I'm so happy that we're able to play 120 minutes, putting England down. The girls did very well, and I'm so proud of them.
The girls played really well, considering that England is like the European champion. And I think, yeah, they did a really good job.
They all played as a team, and we're really proud of them. We're proud of you from Australia, Bisburn.
Yeah, I flew you from Sydney to watch this match, right? Yeah. Go girls, go Falcons. You made us proud. All right, cheers, mate.
For England, they're proud of the performance from the Super Falcons of Nigeria.
They showed tonight what a good team they have. They were very well organized, very physical, very athletic. They pressed a little higher, and we had trouble to get out of that press. And we could do a little better, but I think it was also there. Also would give them the credits how good they did that.
What is next for the Super Falcons? The coach Randy Waldrum wants to stay on the job and continue what he has started.
There's such a bright future for this group. The players came together in an unbelievable way here at this tournament. We don't want to take this success and now not continue to move forward when we get back to Nigeria.
From Brisbane, Australia, Cecilia Morgbe for Channels Television News.
Good job, Cecilia Morgbe, reporting from Brisbane venue where the Super Falcons took on the Lionesses of England. It's end of the road, but truly, Yemi and Tony, this is the way to lose a match. This is how to get out of a major competition such as the World Cup. The Super Falcons, that was a gallant defeat, and you can see the Nigerians are proud of them, saying, well done. Tony, let me ask you, you've worked with different coaches, you know, when you were media officer of the Super Eagles. Coach Randy Waldrum wants to stay on the job with everything that has happened. Don't look at just this World Cup. Is it a sort of coach that can take the Super Falcons to that admirable heights? And when I say admirable heights, the Super Falcons unofficially have 11 African Women's Cup of Nations titles and officially 9. And Coach Randy Waldrum keep that winning philosophy that we've known the Super Falcons with?
Yeah, you see, there are a lot of things that we need to understand when we want to talk about results, coaching, and a team. No two games are the same. No two competitions are the same. And the difference between winning and losing the tournament could be very, very slim. Very, very slim. You may have a good team, very good team, and not win the tournament. You may have a team not as good as the one that didn't win the tournament that will then go on to win the tournament. You know? So all of these things need to be factored in. At the AFCON, remember, we played 9 men against Morocco. and the players that got red carded were key members of the squad in key areas. It was Ajibade, and then I think Ayinde that got the red card. So you had to play with 9 men, and then we took the game to penalties. If we had won that game, or if we were 10 or 11 against 11, we don't know. The story may have been different. And then in the final, it could have been a different story altogether. We've seen games against South Africa where we didn't play well, but then we had one lucky strike, and that was the end of the game. Like the final against Cameroon. Remember the year 2016? I think the final against Cameroon, we were under attack from the beginning of that game until maybe the 89th minute when Desire Paranozie got a lucky break and scored the only goal. It was smash and grab. You understand? But to your question about Randy Waldrum, there are things that are very obvious. The way the Super Falcons played at this World Cup, we've not seen them play this way before. The organization, the confidence, the tactical discipline, the push, it's different. So we may, and this was a coach that complained, had a lot of running battles with the federation, his employers, and all of that. And then we saw a team that went to the World Cup and played well. Unfortunately, they have crashed out, but they left a mark. Obviously, clearly, there are things that we can build on in this team going forward. We saw Onome Ibi, who used to be a regular, sitting on the bench. We saw younger defenders, a younger defender, the main in the team. We saw Abiodun that got the record in the first game come into the middle of the park, and suddenly we forgot complaints about Ngozi Okobi being dropped from the squad because of the way those guys were playing. So there are things that we can build on, definitely, from the performance that we've seen at this World Cup. But a lot of issues we need to be addressed. Remember, Waldrum has been working on a part-time basis because of the work that he's been doing in the American university where he works. So these are some of the issues that the NFF will have to decide. Do you want a part-time coach, or do you want an arrangement where you have an assistant coach, a Nigerian coach, who will be able to do a lot of the running around for scouting of domestic players for Waldrum, if you want to keep that kind of arrangement going. And then I'm happy that at the World Cup, they were able to resolve all of those differences without going too much into the media. They resolved it amicably behind the scene, and then we were able to see the federation and the coach and the team working together in harmony. If we can build on that, clearly, the AFCON qualifiers are a few weeks away, the Olympic qualifiers are a few weeks away, then there's something for us to work with. But if we want to get somebody new to come on board, we probably have to start afresh, new philosophy, new style, new coaching method, new way to play that the coach will want to push into this team. And we are very impatient in Nigeria. We want the next person coming in to hit the ground running and start to play as well as they played at the World Cup. But it doesn't work that way. A new coach comes, he has his own philosophy, he has his own style, he has his own favorite players, and then we begin to chop and change, positive or no positive, and then we argue and continue and all of that, and then put pressure on the team, and they begin to crack. So these are some of the issues that I think the NFF, Waldrum wants to stay, look at all of these issues objectively, and then decide on what you think is the best way to go.
All right. Interesting things are coming out of the FIFA Women's World Cup. And, of course, to follow up on the question Austin asked, it's something with regards to relationship, the coach, the players, the NFF. FIFPro released a statement about the Super Falcons, talking about helping them, assisting them, you know, to get some of their unpaid wages. And it's going to come up on your screen. There you have it. FIFPro have been talking about all of these issues. They are committed to creating a centralized player data management platform. And so following Nigeria's women's elimination from the World Cup, FIFPro is confirming that they are assisting players in a disagreement with the Nigerian Football Federation concerning bonus payments, camp allowances, expenses, some of which date back to 2021. And of course, it's not new that the players express desire to focus on their performance at the World Cup without talking about these issues. Now, FIFPro has come out with this to say they will be working with the players. But in a swift response, because it must be said, the NFF also has come out to talk about what FIFPro is saying. And of course, the NFF is saying that FIFPro probably doesn't understand the terrain, and they will need to get a clear understanding of the terrain before wading into the issues. And as far as they are concerned, some of these issues have been looked at and will be sorted out. So that's what is there. But Tony, I want you to quickly comment on this before we go back to the main issue, which is the game. You've read what FIFPro, right? And what the NFF, in a swift response to all of it. So what do you make of?
It's a pity. The guys have been in the news for such a long time, so you wouldn't be too disappointed to see reactions like this coming from FIFPro. And Wright the other day saying something about paying all the guests and all of that. But I mean, having worked in the sports ministry and seeing how things work from the ministry to the Nigerian Football Federation, I think the NFF have done the right thing by giving their own side to tell everybody that, look, we've had an agreement with these girls on what we'll pay them, on the Falcons, and what we'll pay them, and that's what we are working with. So you don't need to tell us. They said it's a storm in a teacup. Mm-hmm. You don't need to tell us or remind us of what we've agreed with the girls. They will get what is due them. But, you know, FIFPro will have a lot of fighting to do because it's not just Nigeria. They fight for South Africa. They will fight for Jamaica. They will fight for England. They will fight for maybe Canada because there are issues about bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. So they have a lot of fighting to do. And maybe that's why the NFF is saying, look, why are you focusing on Nigeria? Canada have issues. England also had issues about pay, disparity, and all of that. Jamaica had to do GoFundMe before the World Cup. Or was it 80 or Jamaica? And then,
and one of the things they said is that, okay, you are focusing on just the tournament. What about football players across?
Across board.
Help those ones too.
So, but these are the issues around the women's game. The women's game needs a lot more support. You know, it's still not at the same level with the guys. So they still need a lot more support. But kudos to FIFA for what they introduced, compensation for playing in the Women's World Cup. The girls have something to show for going to the World Cup. And I'm happy that our girls did well, got to the second round, and are going to get something, something quite good, rewarding, substantial. So it's a way to go. But at the same time, the way for me, Yemi, Austin, and Cecilia, funding is always a big issue. And then we have to find a way to ensure that we get the right kind of support for the women's game so that these girls, you know, their own span of football is shorter than the men, so that when they stop playing, they have something to fall back on.
All right. Of course, before I yield back to Austin, let's just quickly take a look at, of course, some of the games played today. Quick comments, and of course, look at the quarter-final appearance. Let's do that quickly. Austin will quickly tell us his thoughts. France and Morocco. Okay, these are the other round of 16 results. Sweden and the United States ended via penalty. Sweden winning. Australia booking their place in the quarter-final. They defeated Denmark. Colombia, of course, surprised. Well, not really a surprise anyway, but we're able to squeeze past Jamaica. It was a lone goal. And let's see quarter-final fixtures quickly. And there you have it. Spain up against the Netherlands. Japan against Sweden. Australia will be up against France. England up against Colombia. All right. Let me go to Austin. For some of us, it might be difficult to talk about this stuff. It might be difficult for us to talk about this tournament now that the Super Falcons, I'm trying to get my emotions right. It might be difficult to talk about the tournaments now that the Super Falcons are out, but we have a job to do. So
that's right.
All African teams out.
I know.
So who's your money on? I'm thinking the Netherlands look like a complete team.
I think England. You know, there's just something about that team. And I told you, if you go take a look at Coach Sarina Wiegman and past, jobs with the Netherlands, you could tell that she's everything about the mental state of her players and, how to pick up match after match and keep getting better. Local media hasn't been fair to her, particularly with the performance that our team gave against Nigeria. But against Colombia, you could tell that they were set up in a proper way, having, no room for complacency because they understand that Colombia can actually stun them. They will go back and see what Colombia did to Germany and then be very careful. And with this English team, the moment they get into the semis, let me watch them closely. I've talked about this team, and somehow I think that they can push. Australia too can go all the way. Australia, with everything that they've been through, still standing, and now they've got Sam Kerr back in the team. They are a side that can actually stun anyone. No disrespect to the Netherlands. I like them, but I think if South Africa had done enough, had pushed, had dug deep, if South Africa had played the way Nigeria approached England, South Africa might have done something to the Netherlands. I mean, Katlana got some clear chances, didn't take them in football. If you get 4 chances, take at least 2, to keep hopes alive. So everybody at this stage now will be saying, oh, they have their eyes, fixed on the trophy, but it's still a long way to go from the quarterfinals. Maybe when you get to the semis, you get to do 1 or 2 things. Let me ask Cecilia, who is in Brisbane, before we let her go. Cecilia, now it's the quarterfinals. What's the mood like in Australia? What are people talking about? But before you answer that question, tell me, the Super Falcons, members of the team, how are they taking this 5th Pro talk about unpaid bonuses? Are they murmuring, or are they just still down that they didn't make it to the quarterfinals?
I think the answer is obviously on the fact that they were able to repost, maybe the captain, repost what Asisa Toshola did the same. Zia Pranise gives a thumbs up to it. What NFF did not understand, it is not on the World Cup bonuses itself, nor their match performance related that they agreed on. What they don't understand is the bonuses that accrue, those daily allowances are supposed to pay players, which hardly they do. Since 2021, that's what the players are talking about. It is not because they know that FIFA money is going to get to them, there's no problem. But the daily allowances they're supposed to get, which they usually don't get, that's actually the main thing. That's what, and maybe they should reread that thing and talk to the players and understand where FIFA is coming from. It is not the FIFA money, that is a guarantee. The match related bonus, they already said they had an agreement they will not pay, which of course they also stated in that the letter, the release that they got. It is those daily allowances that the players are supposed to be getting. That's what those players are talking about. And it's $100 per day they're supposed to be getting, which most times they don't usually get. So they should go and read that and understand what to respond to people, not about the FIFA money, but obviously they will get that. And that's what you mentioned. If that is the case, they should have to go through all of them. Canada, all of them. Canada didn't want to come to the World Cup because of what happened. But that aside, obviously what the players want is, they want when you come to camp, you have your allowances, just get it. That's what they want, at least that first. And then the match-related bonuses should also come. And whenever they play those friendlies also, let them also, you promise them when you play your friendlies games and everything, the money will also come. So those are the issues right now, not just the FIFA money. Obviously the FIFA money, NFF doesn't have a choice. They will get it because it's been announced it's across board. And and the mood, as you talked about, is the fact they just want to have this. If you remember, I spoke with Lisa before this World Cup, and she said NFM knows what to do concerning welfare. And when a player mentions that to you, you understand what she's talking about. You can't keep players in camp at the hotel.
Cecilia, I know, Cecilia, I needed to poke the bear a little, and I think you've given us enough information because if I leave you go all the way, just tell us what it's like in Australia now that we've gotten to the quarterfinals, so I can let you get some rest.
Okay, I think the thing is, like, Australians were not really happy that Nigerians are out. That's something I noticed because they were like, we should have won that game. If you check at the stadium, like there was this vibe of Nigeria going through anytime we're in possession of the ball. We're not happy that Nigerians are out. So therefore it's going to open all the tournament. But England is still here. Australia will be playing France in Brisbane. That's another game you have to look forward to. I know the French team, yes, they've been good. And Morocco left. There's really nothing happening. So yes, they played in New Zealand, in Auckland. But there's really no buzz concerning that. I mean, when that would have been back for goes to nothing. People are not talking about it. South Africa left. People are not talking about it. But Nigerians left. And you could see that it's like the mood actually dropped. for most of the fans coming to the stadium. Because there are some people who they're not supporting any team, but they just want to support the Super Falcons. So that's it's done already. We'll see what we can build from here. Maybe look at the English national team who's got a lot of fans. But apparently, despite the fact that Australians, you have some of their Irish descent and English descent and all that. Some of them were rooting for the Super Falcons. I don't know what Falcons did to these fans.
I know, Cecilia. Tell them we love them right back. And I want to say thank you so much for all of the, support you've given to us with the coverage of Team Nigeria at the World Cup. We cannot wait to have you back home. Thank you so much, Cecilia.
Great to be here again.
All right, that's it. Our correspondent, Cecilia Omoro, will be speaking to us from Brisbane. So, me and Toyin, I wanted Toyin, Cecilia to bring some balance, and I think she did just that.
Yeah, of course, before I say anything, I'll just quickly let our viewers know that brings us to that segment brought to you by Stanbic IBTC, the official insurance partner of the Super Falcons. We can go on and on talking about it. I still have a sore taste in my mouth because we're journalists, but at the heart of everything, we are fans. And somehow we have to move on. And before we get to basketball, which is going to be our parting shot on the show, you touched up on something that I wanted to ask you about. Competitions are different. And I'm beginning to look at it. We played badly at the AFCON. But this is a tournament, different opposition. We played well.
Tougher opposition.
And the Olympics, it might look... But do you think, with this manager, if we come back to the AFCON, do you think we'll be back to that kind of performance we saw at the AFCON?
No two tournaments are the same. No two tournaments are the same. The World Cup is a different tournament. The Africa Cup of Nations is a different tournament. At the World Cup, you were playing against better-ranked teams, so you could deploy your strategy to sit back, soak the pressure, and play on the counter. At the AFCON in Africa, you are the best African team. Teams are going to sit back when you are playing against them and try to catch you on the counter. So you have to play on the front foot in Africa because you are the best team in Africa. Very different from how you play in a World Cup tournament when you are playing against the top 10 teams in the world, when you sit back, fight man-to-man, play on the counter, and be organized defensively. When you are playing in Africa, you want to push out and score goals. So it's a different setting altogether. So you have to understand the dynamics of the kind of competition you are playing.
All right.
If we play in Africa, we can't sit back and defend and play on the counter when we are playing against Malawi.
I just wanted you to put that in perspective. All right. For our parting shot, let me give the floor to Austin. You waxed lyrical about the Tigress. They made us proud. And, of course, justify the high rating and hype you give to them.
What a story. They achieved the 4 peats. I don't know how to talk about this team again. I say this because with the terrible leadership that we've witnessed with the Nigeria Basketball Federation, these ladies just go against all odds and go out there to give Nigeria a fantastic representation. Beating Senegal in the final, 84-74. That was a fantastic, representation for the country. And it means they've beaten Senegal 4 times in the final of the Afro Baskets, and they've never lost anyone to Senegal. So congratulations to the D Tigress. They met with the First Lady of Nigeria today in Abuja. Let's see what will come out of this one, because they've done the country so proud. I don't know if we've got some time here. Let's listen to some of the talking points that came out of that. If we don't, let me just say congratulations once again to the D Tigress. MBBF, take a look at what they have done again and find a way. A team that has won the Afro Basket title 1, 2, 3, 4 times in a row. That's an institution right there. Let's find ways to, keep this champion side together and keep them winning. That's the show right here in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, let's keep talking sports. Bye for now.
All right, here's a wrap on the show. But before I go, I want to thank Ibitoye for his time today. Hopefully, we'll get you to come around some other time.
Always a pleasure to be here, Ayemi. This is my home.
Okay. All right, that's good to hear. All right. We're going to leave you, Austin talked about, we're going to leave you with that reception, of course, granted the girls by the First Lady. And, of course, we'll be back again tomorrow to take you on a trip across the money-spinning world of sport. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.
By demonstrating exceptional skills and sportsmanship, you have not only showcased your own capabilities, but you have also served as role models for aspiring female athletes across Nigeria. Your accomplishment go beyond the court. They inspire countless individuals, especially women, to pursue their dreams with dedication and perseverance. The collective effort, unity, and synergy you have displayed during the tournament exemplify the qualities that we need to make our nation strong again. Your victory transcends sports, symbolizing the potential that can be realized when a diverse group of individuals come together with a common goal. I'm immensely proud of your achievements and the positive image you have projected for our country. Your success reinforces the fact that Nigerian women are capable of reaching the highest level in any endeavor they choose to undertake. On behalf of all Nigerian women, I extend my warmest congratulations once again. Your victory has brought immense joy to the hearts of Nigerians, and I'm confident that your continued dedication will inspire generations to come. May you continue to reach new heights, both individually as a team. Your achievements have placed Nigeria on the global map of excellence, and for that we are grateful. I wish you all continued success and prosperity in your future endeavors.